Our world is filled with mysteries. Some places hold on to the past. They hold on to the echoes of those who have passed on. These places vibrate with their energy. These are the haunted places of our world. They whisper to us. They show us glimpses of what lies beyond. Are you brave enough to explore these haunted corners? Do you dare to confront the unknown? Join us as we journey to one such place. Get ready to step into a world of terror. Get ready to face the hauntings of the Conjuring House. Hidden away in the peaceful countryside, there stands a house. It is a farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. It appears ordinary at first glance. But this house holds a dark secret. This is the Conjuring House. It is a place where evil lingers. It is a place where fear takes hold. Built in 1736, the house has a long history. It is a history stained with tragedy. Death has visited this house many times. There have been suicides, drownings, and murders. The land itself seems to be cursed. Every family who lived there experienced something sinister. This is the story of the Conjuring House. This is the story of the terrifying events that unfolded within its walls. The Conjuring House did not begin with joy. It did not begin with laughter and the promise of a bright future. No, this house was born from darkness. It was built in 1736, a time when life was harsh and unforgiving. The land itself seemed to hold onto a deep sadness. The first residents of the house were a family named Arnold. They were farmers, eking out a living from the unforgiving soil. Life was a struggle. Death was a constant companion. It wasn't long before tragedy struck the Arnold family. Their only son, a young boy full of life, drowned in a nearby pond. The family was devastated. They say the mother, overcome with grief, could still hear her son's laughter in the wind. She would wander the halls of the house, calling out his name. But her son was gone. Some say his spirit remained, trapped within the walls of the Conjuring House. As the years passed, more families came and went from the Conjuring House. Each left their own mark on the house. Each added to the growing darkness. Whispers of strange occurrences began to circulate. People spoke of cold spots, disembodied voices, and objects moving on their own. One name became forever linked to the house's sinister reputation: Bathsheba Sherman. Bathsheba lived on the property in the mid-1800s. She was a recluse, feared and ostracized by the community. Some whispered that she practiced witchcraft. They said she made deals with dark forces. Rumors spread like wildfire. Bathsheba was accused of sacrificing animals, cursing her neighbors, and even harming children. Fear turned into paranoia. The townsfolk began to avoid the Conjuring House at all costs. Bathsheba's life ended tragically. She was found dead on the property. Her death was ruled a suicide. But many believed she had been punished by the forces she had tried to control. With Bathsheba's death, the darkness at the Conjuring House deepened. It seemed to seep into the very foundation of the house. Over the next century, the house witnessed a string of unfortunate events. There were unexplained deaths. There were accidents. There were families torn apart by grief and madness. Each tragedy added another layer to the house's grim history. The Conjuring House stood silent. It was a watchful sentinel, bearing witness to the darkness that unfolded within its walls. It was as if the land itself was cursed, forever bound to the tragedies of the past. The question wasn't if something sinister lurked within the Conjuring House. The question was, what would happen when it decided to reveal itself? The year was 1971. The Perron family arrived at the Conjuring House, full of hope. Roger and Carolyn, with their 5 daughters, were ready for a new beginning. They purchased the farmhouse, unaware of the darkness awaiting them. Captivated by its charm and history, They sought a peaceful life. The house echoed with laughter and the pitter-patter of little feet. The honeymoon phase didn't last. The idyllic facade of the Conjuring House began to crumble. Strange occurrences started subtly, like whispers in the night. Carolyn noticed objects misplaced or missing. Doors creaked open on their own. A cold spot settled over a particular area in the house, a constant chill that sent shivers down their spines. At night, the house came alive with unexplained noises. Footsteps echoed in the hallway when no one was around. The sound of whispering voices drifted from empty rooms. The girls, more attuned to the unseen, started to feel like they were being watched. They would catch glimpses of shadows moving in the periphery of their vision. Toys would start to operate on their own, their cheerful melodies turning into a discordant symphony of fear. The Perron family tried to rationalize these events, but deep down, a seed of unease had been planted. Children are often the most sensitive to the presence of the supernatural. They see what adults miss. They hear what adults ignore. And in the Conjuring House, the Perron children were the first to truly witness the horrors that lurked within. It began with fleeting glimpses, shadowy figures darting past doorways, and whispers of names in the dark. Then, the apparitions became clearer. The children started seeing full-bodied figures of men, women, and children, their appearances as varied as the house's long history. Some were harmless, like the old woman who would sit by the fireplace, her spectral knitting needles clicking away. Others were not so benevolent. A malevolent presence made itself known, its energy heavy and oppressive. It would pull on the girls' hair, pinch them, and whisper threats in their ears. The children were living in a nightmare, their innocent world invaded by forces they couldn't understand. The paranormal activity in the Conjuring House escalated at an alarming rate. It was as if whatever unseen force resided there was testing its boundaries, growing bolder with each passing day. The once subtle occurrences became more blatant, more aggressive. The entity wanted to instill fear, to assert its dominance over the terrified family. Objects flew across rooms with alarming force, shattering against walls. Furniture was overturned, beds violently shaken in the dead of night. As the hauntings intensified, a disturbing pattern emerged. Carolyn Perron became the primary target of the entity's wrath. It was as if whatever malevolent force haunted the house harbored a particular animosity towards the mother, focusing its energy on breaking her spirit. She would wake in the night with the feeling of icy hands gripping her arms, leaving behind bruises that seemed to materialize out of thin air. Whispers followed her throughout the house, disembodied voices hissing her name with venomous intent. Carolyn began to experience vivid nightmares, terrifying visions of the house consumed by darkness and a shadowy figure with malevolent eyes that seemed to pierce her very soul. She felt an overwhelming sense of dread, a constant fear that clung to her like a shroud. The entity was relentless, chipping away at her sanity, trying to isolate her from her family, to break her spirit. Desperate for answers, Carolyn Perron delved into the history of the Conjuring House. She scoured local libraries, searching for any clue, any explanation for the horrors she and her family were enduring. Her research led her to the legend of Bathsheba Sherman, whispered in hushed tones throughout the town. Carolyn learned of the rumors, the accusations of witchcraft and dark rituals. Bathsheba had died a tragic death on the property, under mysterious circumstances. Carolyn couldn't shake the feeling that Bathsheba's spirit was connected to the malevolent entity tormenting her family. As Carolyn delved deeper into the history of Bathsheba Sherman, she uncovered disturbing details that sent chills down her spine. She learned that Bathsheba had been a recluse, feared and ostracized by the community. Some whispered that she practiced dark magic, that she had made pacts with entities beyond human comprehension. There were rumors of strange occurrences on the property during Bathsheba's time, unexplained illnesses, accidents, and even deaths that seemed to plague those who dared to cross her. Some believed that Bathsheba had cursed the land itself, her malevolent energy seeping into the very foundation of the Conjuring House. The more Carolyn learned about Bathsheba, the more convinced she became that this woman, this vengeful spirit, was the source of their torment. It was as if Bathsheba's rage, her pain and her desperation had seeped into the walls of the house, transforming it into a conduit for her malevolent energy. The Perron family was at their wits' end. Fear had become their constant companion. Desperation clung to them like a shroud. They needed help, and they needed it desperately. Carolyn, her resolve strengthened by fear and a mother's love, reached out to renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens were known for their compassion and their unwavering dedication to helping families tormented by the unknown. Ed, a demonologist with a wealth of knowledge about the dark side of the supernatural, was a calming presence, his faith a shield against the encroaching darkness. Lorraine, a clairvoyant with a rare gift for sensing spirits and their intentions, was a beacon of empathy, her heart heavy with the weight of the Perron family's suffering. The Warrens arrived at the Conjuring House, their presence a mix of quiet confidence and cautious curiosity. They had faced countless haunted locations, but something about this case, a palpable sense of dread that hung heavy in the air, told them they were dealing with something truly malevolent. Lorraine, her senses acutely attuned to the spiritual realm, immediately sensed the oppressive energy that permeated the Conjuring House. It was as if the very air was thick with unseen malice, a symphony of whispers and shadows that sent shivers down her spine. She could feel the presence of multiple spirits, their energies swirling around the house like a vortex of despair and anger. But one presence stood out, a beacon of malevolence that dwarfed the others, its power raw and untamed. It was the spirit of Bathsheba Sherman, filled with a rage that transcended death, her grip on the house as strong as it was in life. Bathsheba's presence was suffocating, a chilling reminder that some wounds, some pain, could linger long after the body had turned to dust. The Warrens, determined to understand the extent of the haunting and to find a way to help the Perron family, decided to conduct a séance. They knew the risks, the dangers of opening a doorway to the spiritual realm, but they also knew that sometimes the only way to combat darkness was to confront it head-on. As the séance commenced, the atmosphere in the room shifted, the air growing heavy with anticipation and dread. The temperature plummeted, a bone-chilling cold that seemed to seep into their very bones. The candles flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls as if unseen entities were stirring in the darkness. Lorraine, her voice a hushed whisper, began to call out, her words reaching into the void, seeking contact with the spirits that haunted the Conjuring House. And then it happened. The entity responded. The séance was supposed to be a beacon of hope, a way to communicate with the spirits and find a resolution to the Perron family's nightmare. Instead, it unleashed a torrent of paranormal fury that left them shaken to their core. Carolyn Perron found herself at the epicenter of the maelstrom. She was violently thrown back, her body contorting in ways that defied explanation. The room echoed with her screams, each one a testament to the unseen force. The Warrens struggled to regain control, their voices a mix of prayers and commands. The experience left Carolyn deeply scarred. The Perron family, their spirits broken, made the heartbreaking decision to leave the Conjuring House. The memories of the terror they endured were not easily left behind. The Conjuring House remained, a constant reminder of darkness. Despite their departure, reports of paranormal activity continued. The house's notoriety grew, attracting the brave and the foolish. Paranormal investigators flocked to document the strange occurrences. They reported disembodied voices and objects moving on their own. The Conjuring House had become a magnet for the paranormal. The Conjuring House stands as a chilling testament to the enduring power of fear and the unsettling possibility that some places are forever marked by darkness. Decades have passed since the Perron family fled their dream home, driven to their limits by relentless assaults on their senses. Yet the stories and chilling accounts of paranormal activity continue to draw the curious and the courageous. Is the Conjuring House merely a repository of residual energy, or something more sinister? The answer remains elusive, shrouded in mystery and fueled by whispers of unseen forces. Thank you for watching with the Haunted Narrative today. Stay spooky.